Alright, what's up guys? Back at it again. Got a video for you. It's going to be a quick video because I got a lot of shit to do today. I had to buy a camera because certain people, hackers, billionaires, corporate conglomerates, that turn off my camera on my phone. Someone says, basically, I'm a security threat. So they took off my camera from my phone. This stupid little fucking Samsung thing I can't use anymore. So I had to go out and buy a camera. Hopefully this works pretty well. I can tell by the picture it's probably lesser quality than that shit phone. That shit phone was probably $80. This camera is about $80. And I think this camera's shittier. Anyways, we're going to just dive into it because we don't have much time. I want to talk to you guys about something that has been irking me for many, 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 many years. Well over a decade. And that is the idea in which that people think that second that they get out of high school, that they're done learning. Or that they know enough now in order to survive. And then they have their predetermination of what they think about cops, and there are pre-biases about how they think about the law and cops and judges, and some people think it's all fucking rigged against you. Some people think that everything's good, you have nothing to hide. Unless you're doing something wrong, everything's fine. Well, here's the thing, guys. Most people don't know the fucking rights. They don't understand their rights. They don't understand that police officers have no authority over you. They really don't, unless you have been committing a crime. So this reaches past suspicion. If you're suspicious of a crime, the cop can detain you. They cannot arrest you for suspicion of a crime. And if you are not being detained, you are free to leave. Right? Like, a lot of people know this stuff, but I have to tell you guys this stuff. Because we haven't really talked much about this on our channel. One day I wanted to give a huge video on this, but we'll make a video now and see what happens, right? So I know a lot of you guys can't find me on YouTube. If this video doesn't show up on YouTube, which I'm not saying anything about vaccines or viruses in this video, which I haven't lied to you on any front yet, so what does it fucking matter? But the point is that I'm getting at is that your rights are in your hands, and if you knew the law, you can get past the bullshit. You don't get to play victim because you know the law, right? And there's a way that police officers, judges, etc. take advantage of people like the average person who clearly don't know their rights, clearly don't know the laws. And the problem is that when people don't understand what statutes are or any of these, like the word mandatory, like the secret here is that Dr. Fraudchi cannot get sued because he has not convinced anyone other than convincing. He is not forcefully making anyone take a vaccination. If he did, he could be sued, right? But because they're not forcefully doing it and they're giving you fucking donuts and all these fucking bullshit off of it, unhealthy characteristics for health, like you get donuts and coffee and all the bullshit in order to, if you take a vaccine, right? But that's not what this video is about. But the point is that Fauci can't get sued because he knows the law. He has not told anyone they must get the vaccine or else they go to jail. Or it basically saying that, hey, he's hinting it's mandatory, but it's not what you think. How we consume these words and how we understand and detail these words are different considering person to person. So it's the subject that is liable for understanding the laws. So 200 years ago, in the United States of America, which was a country and had a corporation called the U.S., these people 200 years ago, the average citizen of this nation, used to all have two books that they were certainly supposed to have. The King James Version 1611 of the Bible and Black's Law Dictionary. Black's Law, King James. With these two, you can get through anything. You're spiritually saved, and you're not going to be a victim on this planet because you know Black's Law and King James Version. The reason why everyone had a Black's Law Dictionary is because they had to know the law. If they didn't know the law, they were victims, right? Nowadays, everyone has public defenders, so they don't even have to think. Even though your public defender is not looking out for your best interest, they're looking out for their job, right? No public defender out there, not one, will give you an off sentence, like basically getting you off whatever bullshit that you were committed a crime for. They can't get you off because they won't. They refuse to because you're the reason why they're getting paid. They're not getting paid to get people off. Now, I know there's small, very minority situations where they can get you off. I'm going to give you an example. When I had a DWI. I was 24 years old or so. And I get a DWI. So this is over a decade ago. I get a DWI because of basically me not knowing the law. I had drugs on me, and I wasn't driving the vehicle when they caught me. I was so fucking drunk and high on pills, like Oxycontins, which is exactly what I had in my possession, and I popped them like fucking Skittles back then. But the point is that I'm getting at is that in my DWI, my public defender said, oh, I can get you off because you weren't driving that vehicle when they pulled you over. So it doesn't, yeah, my vehicle itself was not where it should have been, and I was walking down the road. And that's when the cop stopped me, according to the police report, which I never even seen until my lawyer saw it, or my public defender at the time. So my public defender's saying, oh, we're going to get you off of that, and the pills, they weren't supposed to check your vehicle. There's no reason to look in your vehicle for those pills, so you should get away with that too. And I'm like, damn, dude, I didn't even know the law really when I was 24. I was just starting to understand the law when I was 24. So it was about a decade ago when I started going down the path of, wow, this and this, if I just knew the law a little bit, I can get out of damn near anything. Guys, I'm being serious here. If you know the law, you can manipulate the law where you weren't in the wrong. You just need a little bit of knowledge. And no one really has that knowledge anymore. But anyways, long story short, I ended up getting a second DWI, like a few months later. And the first DWI law enforcement, public defender, he said, oh, I can't get you off now because you had the second DWI. Which wasn't the law. It's just they put both in the same category, even though they're different areas, right? Like one was in one town, one was in another town. So they basically got wind of it and said, and itch-nayed the whole thing. I was supposed to get off the first DWI. I was supposed to. It was legally sound. The doctrine was sound. I couldn't go to jail for that, even though I was in jail during the time. So anyways, let me talk about a few things here. So one day, I think I was 18 at the time, and I had just gotten over using my YO, which I was 17 years old, and I criminalized a house, I burglarized the house, I stole things, I did things that I was very ashamed of at the age of 17. And after going through court and community service and all those things, after even using that YO, basically they said if I do anything, that YO gets itch-nayed, and then I become a felon. But anyway, so I'm 18, and I'm driving, and me and my friends go into the woods, and we park on the side of the road, and we go into the woods, and we smoke pot, and we're enjoying our time, and we come back about an hour later or so, something like that. And I'm 18 at the time. And I come to find out that my door's wide open, police officers are there, and they're searching my vehicle, which that was my vehicle that was on the side of the road. So they searched my vehicle, stole my belongings that they believed was illegal, which at the time I didn't know the law. I didn't understand the law back then. But what happened was I ended up getting in trouble with, I had a Dutch Master box, one of those 50 cigar boxes or however many come in it. And I had a scale, baggies, I had tons of weed bagged up, everything, right? Like I was clearly a dealer. And I didn't know the law. I just thought, oh shit, if they find it, I'm caught. I didn't know the law. I went to court. And mind you, again, I was told if I get caught doing anything, my last sentence would be a felony. Meaning I go to prison. Prison for my burglary and breaking and entering and all that shit, right? And to mention, I've been in the back of a cop car about 20 times until I was like 18. I'm not joking. That's how many times I've been in the back of a cop car by the age of 18. It's not a, oh wow, I was such a badass kid. It was because I didn't know the law. Anyways, so they steal all my shit and they give me a court sentence, or a court date. I go to the court. I remember getting stoned as fuck before the court because I thought for sure I'm fucked. I'm a drug dealer in the state of New York at the time. I mean, it's legal now. It was illegal then to possess marijuana. And if you had over 20 grams of marijuana, which I had more in the baggie, let alone all of the dime bags and dub bags I dimed up or put together. The point is I'm getting it. I go to court and I'm stoned as fuck. I'm wearing a decent shirt, but I knew I was so certain I was going to jail because of what I was told about the law. I was so certain I was going to jail. So certain. I gave my stuff to people. I sold most of the things I had. I was so certain I was going to jail because of what I was told. And because I don't know the laws. Truly, at that time, at 18. I go into court. And I'm shitting bricks. I'm one of the first people up. One of the first. I'm up there. I'm shitting bricks up there. I'm waiting for a sentence of 2 years, something like this. But he starts saying what I'm charged with. Oh, you have an unlawful possession of marijuana to a blah, 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 to you're selling. You had all these baggies. You had the scale. You had all these things that were obvious proof that you're selling. And then he stops talking. The judge has stopped talking, stopped saying what I'm sentenced for. I'd never even said a word. My hands are behind my back, waiting to fucking go to jail, right? Like my hands are back. I'm sure I'm going to jail. I'm sure I'm going to jail. Because that's what we're led to believe. He looks. I'm only 18. I don't know the law. I didn't have a public defender. I had nothing. I couldn't even afford a lawyer, obviously. I had nothing. And he's just flipping the pages. And now we're at about 2 to 3 minutes of silence. Silence as he's reading the documentations and reading what I'm getting charged with. And as he's looking it over, he goes, "Sir, you are free to leave. We do not have jurisdiction to continue this case." And I went, what? Like, my mind went 2 years in prison to you can fucking walk away and smoke your pot. Or whatever. You can fuck off now. And I'm wide-eyed, fucking confused as can be. And I start walking out. And as I'm walking out of the courthouse, I'm not joking you here. Because this is the only time I've ever seen this happen in my eyes. And I've been to court 100 times. At least 100 times I've been in court. Again, not saying, oh, I was just a badass kid. Fuck that shit. Obviously, you got to be young and dumb to be old and wise, right? You have to learn and experience things. But the point is, I'm getting at, I'm walking out, and I'm having a standing ovation from the majority of the courthouse. I am getting a standing ovation because after he listed off all of the things I'm in trouble for, like, I knew I'm fucked. The way he's even stating what I did, I'm like, oh, I'm totally fucked. But what happened was, as I'm walking out, and he said, you know, I'm free to go, and they have no jurisdiction over me, and I'll explain to you why they didn't have jurisdiction in a second. I'm walking out, and I remember this young black kid. He must have been 16 to 18 years old. He's in a suit and tie. You knew that there's a felony on this kid because you wouldn't go in there with a suit and tie for a misdemeanor. And you know that this kid wasn't doing good or did something fucked up. And this kid was so happy for me. Mind you, the whole courthouse is happy for me. I'm having standing ovations for walking out because they didn't have jurisdiction over me. This one black kid in the back goes, oh my God, and he gives me a fucking thing. He goes, oh man, that was fucking awesome. Thinking that maybe he can get some of that energy, that good energy, because he's probably going to prison. And he probably already used this YO, youthful offender thing. Now mind you, the reason why they didn't have jurisdiction was because no one contractually, verbally or written, no one contractually agreed or consented to the search of my vehicle. They are not allowed to search your vehicle without consent. Mind you, where I parked the vehicle was legal. All right? Legal. Where I parked the vehicle was legal. Now, they weren't allowed to go into my vehicle, open up the glove box, open up the Dutch Master box, or Phillies, whatever it was, with 50 cigars in it. It should have been 50 cigars, but they found all my stash and shit. So they found all my weed. They stole all my weed. If I was really fucking, if I know the law now, but if I knew the law then, I could have told that cop, put my belongings back and get the fuck out of here. You have no jurisdiction to do this. I'm going to sue the fuck out of you guys and make a killing off of you guys. So I've been watching for a number of years, like a decade, of these people that claim to be like sovereign or sovereign citizens, which is an oxymoron. These people that claim to be or non-citizens. Like, I'm not a citizen, so you're losing your rules and laws. Do not object to me. They do not concern me. They're not have anything to do with me. These sovereign citizens, I have a cousin who's one, and he taught me how to get rid of your citizenship, and you can actually have legal ownership over your vehicle, your house, and everything instead of the banks. Because when you're a citizen, the banks own all your shit. When you're not a citizen, you own all your shit because there's no corporate straw man that you're attached to. We've talked about that in the past. We've talked about the straw man in the past in this channel. Go check out those videos. But what I'm talking about is the law in general. And the reason why people don't understand the law, and the reason why people are... Ah, man, I think my camera is overheating, so we got to make this short, guys. So let's just dive into this. Cops. When a police officer comes up to you and asks you something, you have no you can object to it. You can do anything you want. As long as you're not being detained, you can fucking say, am I being detained? I'm free to go. See, here's the secret. The cops come up to you and they want to incriminalize you because without you incriminalizing yourself or consenting to being a criminal, they can't do anything. Watch the show Cops. Watch the idiots that deal with cops on a daily basis. You'll see they don't know their rights. They don't know the law. They don't understand what detain is, the difference between being detained and arrested as. They don't understand what things are in the legal realm. And hence, when a police officer says, is that your coke? You don't have to say anything. Is that your blah, blah, blah? Can I search you? You say nothing. And if you want to say no, say no. I would say no. I'd keep my windows all the way up. See my window up here right now? Mine would be up at least that high where he cannot put his hand inside. At least that high. And I would say no. You can't search my vehicle. Am I free to leave? Or am I being detained? It's a simple phrase, right? Simple phrase, but it changes the whole preliminary of you being a victim or you not getting in trouble at all. The whole thing is what you know and how you objectively define these words that you're using. When a cop says, "Do you understand me?" in legalese, he means, do you stand under my authority? Legally, unless you're being detained, unless you're being, unless you're suspicious for a crime, beyond reasonable doubt suspicious, unless you're that, you are free to leave. You don't have to answer any fucking questions. You are free to record them. You are free to do your normal things. And in fact, the cop has no additional authority over you. In fact, if I have a firearm on me, doesn't matter what state you're in, doesn't matter if you're legally carrying or not, whatever that legal bullshit is that you believe is legal or not, you can legally take your AR-15, put it on your back, and walk down any public sidewalk ever. You can legally do that, but you think that you can't. The reason why you can is because of a amendment, the Second Amendment, which says there's no, you cannot infringe on anything of the right of bearing arms, right? And you also have the First Amendment right, these are the two most important. The First Amendment is freedom of speech. The second is the right to bear arms. Because of those two things, you have just as much authority as a cop. You have the right to bear arms just like that cop does. If that cop says that you're not allowed to and you understand their authority, you stand under their authority, they can legally take away your firearm and put you in jail because you don't know the law. But if you say, I have a Second Amendment right, I don't have to give you ID, I'm not doing anything illegal, because Second Amendment, you have a AR-15 attached to your back. You have that AR-15 attached to your back legally. You're on a legal sidewalk because you're in a public place. There's no private entity that tells you otherwise, right? It's not somebody else's property. It's you and your property legally on a legal sidewalk. You can legally do that. But a cop is definitely going to show up and say, where's your papers for that? You have to say there's a Second Amendment right. And any other questions, I have the Fifth Amendment. And if you have multiple people, you have the Fourth Amendment. So if many of you have firearms on you, doesn't matter what state you're in, doesn't matter what town you're in, if you're on a public sidewalk or public area, it is 100% legally to carry your possession. Man, let's make this quick, because I got a lot of shit to do. Let's get back into it. If you're legally doing the legal things, that cop can't stop you. And if that cop tries to arrest you over it and steal your firearm, you can legally get that back, and you can legally sue them. This is legal. So if a cop does something wrong, you have all the right to say they did something wrong. You have a subpoena. You go to a court of law. You go through the right processes. And what happens is, essentially, you get your property back. You get what's the word? I don't want to say vengeance. That's the word that keeps pointing into my mind. But we'll use that to get back, to make even. Justice. Justice is the word. For justice, you would sue that police officer, and you can make sure that that cop cannot operate under those terms anymore, or, which is essentially making other people stealing their property and making other people consent when they don't consent, or if they don't know the law. So cops do it all the time, where they come up to you and they'll try to incriminalize you over nothing. And I hate that from cops. But I understand. Because if you don't know the law, they can just dick you around, they can steal your shit, they can do whatever they want to you. They can take away your firearm. If you have a knife in your pocket, you're legally allowed to carry that fucking knife. It doesn't matter what the cop says. Unless you are literally, you put something on Facebook, I'm going to use this knife to murder the people at the nightclub. Unless you do something like that, there's no evidence. And in a court of law, you need evidence. See, one witness testimony cannot put you in jail. One witness testimony cannot put you in jail unless there's evidence. Evidence. That's why, even in the Bible, if you look into the Torah, which is the first 5 books of Moses, if you look in the Torah, it's described as one witness testimony shall not be enough. We do this in a court of law. One witness testimony is not good enough. Now, if you have 3 or more, they say it starts around 2, but if you have at least 3 or more, there's more cadence, there's more credence to what you say or what the testimony is, right? What I'm trying to get at here is know the law. Understand that there are people out there taking advantage of you and your family because you don't know the law. They steal your shit. They steal your money. You know, those court fees and all that shit. You know, when you sue the cop for doing something illegal, like trying to steal your shit, and you weren't consenting to it, now if you consent, they can steal your shit. If you don't consent, they can't steal your shit. But it's just you knowing the law. Again, I have a lot of shit to do right now, so we're going to make this video really quick here, and we're going to finish on this. If you want more law type videos, I will make more law type videos where we can describe in detail what you need to do. Now, of course, I'm not giving you legal advice. I should have. Hopefully, I'll edit this video and right in the beginning, disclaimer, I'm not giving you legal advice, because if you do what I say and it's not exactly how I say it, like if you just walk down the street right now with an AR-15, you could get killed. You could be stolen from. You could be subject to many problems, right? But if you know the law, then you're only going to have a confrontation with the police officer. And if they want to raise the bar and say, I have more authority over you because you have a firearm, which is illegal and doesn't exist in reality, doesn't even exist on paper in the Black's Law Dictionary, anything, that they have a right over you, right? Like, even a police that stops you for your vehicle, first thing you fucking should say, are you detaining me? And they're going to be like, no, this is a traffic thing. Oh, it's traffic. So you're not, so there's nothing criminal going on here. Fuck you. See ya. Never pay a parking ticket, speeding ticket again, whatever ticket again. But you need to know the laws. Don't just, I've seen it on cops where people, oh, I know the law, so you can't do that to me. When the cop can. So people need to understand there's a law, there's a line, there's a threshold, there's a consent. There's things that are in place that prevent you from doing those things legally, and it's because you don't know the law. So even if you claim to know enough of the law and say, well, I'm going to sue you, cop, the cop can still do whatever the fuck they want to you because you might have an aspect of the law you don't understand well. And there are guidelines and statutes and different things that divvy off of or piggyback off of certain laws and regulations. So those things can be, and you got to also understand, there are things that are more legal than not legal. There's things that are more lawful. And then there's the mandatory. Like, it's mandatory to wear a mask. Well, if it says mandatory to wear a mask, that doesn't mean you need to wear a mask. There's nothing lawful saying that you need to wear a mask. Lawful, mandatory. Lawful, mandatory. Criminal versus traffic, right? You need to understand these differences. And of course, this is why we have legal advisors. This is why we have lawyers or someone to represent you on your behalf. Because the laws are pretty screwy, and unless you know all the laws, you're going to need legal advice. So I'm going to end with this, guys. If you want more videos like this, let me know. I'll be more detailed, more structured. I have plenty more videos coming now that I have a camera. Ooh. Beautiful car. 67 Chevy. Anyways, so I'm going to end with this. Guys, know your laws. Start looking up your rights. There's a guy named James Freeman, John Felax, on YouTube that you can look up. And they film the cops all the time. Am I allowed to do this? Am I not allowed to do this? Oh, am I allowed to do this? But is this under threat of arrest? Or is this under an option? Right? Like if a cop tells you to go beyond the criminal tape, right? Like the crime tape. You don't have to go beyond that crime tape because they're using that crime tape for anything now. Point is I'm getting at is that if you know the laws, you cannot be a victim anymore. You want to keep being a victim? Black Lives Matter, they're killing us off the streets? Or do you want to stop the killing off the streets? You need to know your laws. You need to know your rights. You need to know that if you go into your pocket when they say, put your hands in the air, you might get shot. Because under that pretense of them pointing a gun at you and telling you to do something, you better fucking do it, whether it's right or not. Whether it's lawful or not. And your police interactions can all be changed if you just knew the law. And you wouldn't have to go to jail anymore. Anyways, long story short, I can make this go on all day. I got a phone call, I gotta go places, I gotta go to my farm. I got lots of shit to do today, so stay tuned for more content. It's Opex. I'm out, guys. See ya.